Welcome everyone. It's time for more The Life and Suffering of Sir Brante. Well, last time we learned a very important bit of information, which is that the chapter outcomes are these four. And if you don't get these four, it's true death. I didn't understand that, but we got information in the end of the last episode that pointed to that fact. So something is going to happen at the end of the chapter, and if none of these are met, that something is going to mean our true death. Now, in the last episode, I did die. My first time I have been sullied by death. One death. I had some people come after me. They sent a message. We'll see if I learn anything from it, but yes indeed, one death is down. And as for these things, I literally cannot do 3 of them. Broken chains, I don't foresee myself getting to justice of 10. Though the point, here's the thing. I'm at justice 4. I managed to get 1 point in the last episode. I don't feel like I have had a lot of chances to affect either of these. I have made at least one mistake with this, but getting to 10, like that's big, I think. Now, I also cannot do Audon faces the Court of Honor because I have not betrayed August L. Bourne, so that's not gonna happen. So my only option, and also by the way, yes, I also didn't make a deal with Remy, so this is also not a possibility, and as well career out of 10. No. So Audon is sentenced. That is the only one I can do, and I do indeed have evidence against Audon, which is going to help me, because that means I need a justice of 8. But that's still 4 more justice, and I have basically 3 years, including the year I'm currently on. So can I do that? I don't know. What I've sort of decided on is that I do want to get to chapter 5. Alright, I want to get to chapter 5. So should I fail, I hope I don't, but should I fail, I will most likely replay chapter 4 and sort of pick out the choices that I made and make them different, the sort of wrong choices that I made and make them differently. Now, there are a couple of choices that have been grayed out to me. I literally have not been able to do them because of my other stats. So, for example, if I ever should replay this game, manipulation, pretty damn good. Have had a lot of situations where I could have gone for something with manipulation. So yeah, I've actually been boosting like eloquence, which isn't bad, but it's like not necessarily good for me. I have not boosted my diplomacy, even though I've been very diplomatic on occasions. So I would like that to go up to at least 15, but things are gonna get tricky in the last few years here. Let's just say that. And it might come to a veritable knife's edge in the end. Alright then, let's keep going. We won't know until we get there. Threats and promises. You are in the middle of ascending the city hall's long curved marble staircase. A small man beneath the building's towering vault. You were suddenly visited that night by messengers from Magistrate L. Verman. They insisted the reason was most urgent. You are already expected upstairs. There is a deafening silence in the lavishly decorated corridors. Your footsteps the only noise you can hear. Finally, you enter the spacious room that is the office of L. Verman, a stately official of considerable age. You find him sitting in his comfortable chair of carved wood. He acknowledges your presence with a nod. However, the magistrate is not alone. Oh, bloody hell. By the window of the office stands a tall Arcanian. The cape of the Imperial Legion covers his shoulders. He is Dorius Audon, the commander of Magra, in the flesh. He does not even bother to turn around and look at you. The magistrate gestures to you formally, beckoning you closer. And he says, Judge Brante, you have come at last. Sir Audon has been eagerly awaiting your arrival. You see, the commander has learned about a litigation being prepared against him at the prefecture. Well, bloody hell, who told someone? He demanded that an end be put to these machinations at once, and I humbly offered him my assistance. Slowly, Audon turns to face you. He eyes you with cold contempt and says, Brante, You again. I mean, you kind of like me. Well, you did like me. So you've been chosen to oversee this so-called case against me. I don't envy you. I will be brief. I will not stand idly by in the face of slander and baseless accusations. Give me your word of honor as a nobleman that you will do everything in your power to put a stop to this litigation. Only then will you be free to leave. I will treat any other answer as an insult against my noble lineage, and let it be known that Sir L. Verman holds many positions, such as the chairman's seat at the Court of Honor, which means that any insult will be soon followed by a legitimate duel of honor. I'm sure you know full well how others have fared in duels against me. Auden turns towards the window before you say anything, as if your answer has already been heard. Magistrate L. Verman watches Auden and you silently with a mysterious smirk. You stand before the two lords of the city, a young man only recently ennobled by the mantle. Any word that leaves your lips now will affect your fate. I mean, obviously, we are not going to give him his word. I could with a bit more... well, actually, you know what? Because he does not... he doesn't dislike me. I could put Auden at ease. You mollify the outraged Arcanian, assuring him that the case poses no threat to him. I don't really want to do that. You stand your ground against the Arcanian threats and force him to back down. Of course we're doing that. I do have... like, I don't know how this works, but if we have a maximum value of 20, which I do for Valor, I am allowed one extraordinary deed. Is that something that can sort of get me out of trouble in the end? Because that would be great, but I am very valorful. Valorous is the word. Both valorous and of willpower, so it has to be this. And there cannot be any other. If Auden challenges you to a duel, a lesser death is certain. But I'm very, very valorous. I'm like super good with a sword. Why shouldn't I be able to take him on? Any attempt to avoid it would only delay the inevitable, so it would be best to confront him now. And so, head held high, you place your hand on the hilt of your sword and take a step closer to Auden. Next come the words, your words, echoing loudly in the stunned silence of the city hall. Oh, I don't get an actual quote. It would be nice to have an actual quote here. Oh well, indeed, you are the judge in charge of Auden's case, and you will see it through to the very end. Your duty and your honor demand that you serve the Empire and enforce its laws, which apply to all its subjects. Yes, Auden will surely defeat you in a sacred duel, but the evidence you have gathered against him will see the light nevertheless. You are far from the only judge ready to challenge even the most powerful nobles of the province in the name of the law, and, no matter what, justice will find Auden and strike him down. Auden is stunned by your verbal assault. For a moment he remains motionless by the window, his face an azure mask. Slowly, the Commander Margaret walks towards you, his heavy, piercing gaze transfixing you. He says, "You, a human, dare to threaten me?" You calmly meet his eyes in total silence. Then suddenly, a grimace of rage splits the Arcanian's face. His sword flashes like lightning. You barely have time to draw your own blade. And am I gonna die the second time now? Because I might be dying the second time. The clanging of swords cut through the stunned silence of the city hall. This feels like a very bad place to do this in. Auden lets out a torrent of strikes in an attempt to overwhelm you. Again and again, you barely deflect them. The Arcanian's command of the blade is impeccable. You cannot possibly stand your ground against him for long. You cannot find even a single opening to strike back as Auden's fierce assault drives you toward the window. A commanding voice calls out from the other side of the office. It is Remy. "Sir Auden, what do you think you're doing?" For a moment, Auden stops. This is your chance. You prepare to strike him down as quickly as you can, but the Commander Margaret notices your movement. He steps to the side and runs you through with his sword. Bloody hell! A cold wave washes over you as the steel enters the body. You slowly collapse onto the marble floor, barely able to move. Auden stands tall over you, panting with rage. Remy goes, "Sir Auden, what have you done? This is no honorable noble duel. It is a murder in the heart of the city hall, in front of the chairman of the Court of Honor, no less. I insist that you leave Brante alone from now on. One death is enough for him." Having caught his breath, Auden slowly wipes his sword and sheaths it again and says, "You forget yourself, L. Verman. You're as much a human as he. Still, what you say makes sense. This judge doesn't deserve my wrath. But if he ever tries to tarnish the name of Alden again, you lie prone at the feet of your murderer, your hands clutching at the wound in your chest, a tiny speck of red on your white dress shirt. Black clouds your vision. Your final thoughts freeze and slowly disintegrate as you leave your dead body and head for the glimmering white high above. So, alright then. Second death, there we go. We are quickly going through our deaths here. Is this going to be the same? It does say second death, so I suppose we need to read this. Impenetrable darkness surrounds you. You stand alone, bare to your very essence. It paralyzes you. You have an urge to cover yourself, to hide. No one should see you so vulnerable. But you cannot conceal the truth in this place. You are bathed in an unbearably bright light. There is no hint of warmth in it. It is blinding, at least no shadows in the entire world. It is the light of the shining pillar itself. In this radiance, you can clearly see all your thoughts and doubts, your errors and transgressions, the contradictions that have permeated you since birth. They cover you from head to toe, like rough grey tatters. But they melt away in this light. You are naked. You feel liberated and whole. It is as though all the wounds and cracks in your soul have been healed, making it the way it should be. It is as though the scales have fallen from your eyes. You see the true shapes of things now. These are the laws by which the world abides, the grand design that moves life itself. You tread a path that is barely visible in the blinding light, giving shape to everything. In this light, you see the infinite complexity of the world, from the tiniest leaf to the enormity of the empire. And this world maintains its balance by virtue of the law that was embedded in it during the act of creation. Ahead of you, two figures are waiting on the path. They are gigantic, many times taller than a man. The elder holds a lash, the younger a sword. The younger gazes at you sternly, coldly. You kneel obediently before him and lower your head. The god raises his sword above you. This is divine retribution. There is no law without it, nor can there be. Every action has consequences. This is what shapes the world, making its very existence possible. In this moment, beneath the gaze of the merciless God, you comprehend the law that binds the entire world together. Which manifestations of the law will you live by? It's going to be caused again, because that's absolutely the truth. But let's read them out, because they are different. It is not the ultimate manifestation of the law, the great and incredibly sophisticated mode of existence of all people. Oh, sorry, is this not the ultimate manifestation of the law? The great and incredibly sophisticated mode of existence for all people. On the lot, your destiny is your own manifestation of the divine law. And the family, it is a law that has been with you since the day you were born. Your family is a model of the world, a tiny universe, and it belongs to you just as you belong in it. And then cause, your life's work shapes the world, and thus you influence the great law itself. There we go. You are an embodiment of the law. You have been made in accordance with the divine design, but then we can go against the law. You defy the design of the gods and the law that binds it together. Ooh. Feels like I should sort of know enough about this to make a choice. It's between these, I think. Now I'm gonna go with cause again. I mean, I'm tempted to do that one. I still don't know what my first choice actually, resulted in. But I'm gonna go with cause again. Because as it says, right there, I can influence the great law itself. I can be one of the ones who reshapes everything. Lovely. The blade flashes. The younger's sword slashes through the air above your head. You do not yet deserve your final punishment. The law demands that you continue your life. Your form has not been completely destroyed, nor has that of the world. The younger extends his gigantic hand and shows you the way. You must proceed. The path leads you to the top of the crown of the silver tree, spread wide in white gleam. The branches are closed now. It is time to descend. You are drawn downward into darkness. The shadows that had disappeared in the blinding glow creep around you and envelop you. This is to be expected. But the purity and clarity of spirit are still with you. Something is forcing your throat open. despair. It scratches you on the inside, your soul is filled with struggle again with the contradictions from which the fabric of this world and you yourself are woven. The divine light that gave you clarity is fading away with each passing moment. You have to open your eyes. Above you is the dark ceiling of the crypt. You are reborn. Again. So down 2. 2 out of 4. You come to your senses atop the stone slab of your family crypt. For a while you do not move, slowly getting acquainted with your body born anew. Your mother's somber silhouette stands above you, bowed in prayer. You hear her quiet, meek voice, just as you did as a child. So last time we were alone, and we were able to sort of hide the fact that we had died. But hiding is over. Mother is here, and she very, very much knows what's going on. Yes, she says, "At last you're back with us, Chris, my son. It pains me so much to watch you sacrifice yourself so, all for the sake of your trade and your honor. You have 4 lives in this world by the twins' grace, each a precious gift. You've cast away the low lot of suffering, so I beg you, do not seek it anew. Steer clear of pain and wounds and death." Your father appears in the doorway of the crypt. He comes closer and bows to you respectfully. And he says, "Son, the entire city is talking about you and your sword fight with Odin. Even the highest aristocracy believes the commander of Margaret deserves all the blame for assaulting you without challenging you to a duel. While you acted like a true nobleman and defended the honor of the Brante name, you suffered a lesser death through no fault of your own. You leave the family crypt with a heavy heart. You have resisted Odin. He will not be clashing with you directly anytime soon, but his sword will continue to loom over you until his case comes to an end." So luckily the family gains some honor for that. I get even more valor should I need it. That's twice lowered willpower, not all of it, so I can still do stuff. But more importantly, not a single bloody point of justice. Well, we might actually get a chance now, because it feels like we're going to be doing some actual litigation here. Odin's case, nobleman's honor. Odin's case still looms over you, a burden and a threat. As the strife between the states grows more bitter, the judge's trade grows tougher by the day. The commoners demand more rights and legal protections. The nobles do their best to push back. As things stand right now, any verdict made in court may result in an upheaval in the province, and possibly determine the outcome of your case against Odin. One day, in a park by the Thales estate, favored by dueling Anistot nobles, you see a curly-haired young man lying prone in the small sunlit square. His body has been pierced by a sword, and it is not vanished. A true death. You are here to investigate a report of an illegal duel. The winner is still there, a slender middle-aged noble in an elegant black jacket, his hand still on the hilt of his sword, surrounded by gendarmes. Captain Linnet goes, "Your orders, your honor. Sir El Corvio will not submit on his own, and we wouldn't dare use force against him." You sign for the gendarmes to lower their weapons and approach the duelist. El Corvio's eyes widen and his face comes to life when he notices you. Before you can ask him, the nobleman begins to speak, far louder than necessary. And he goes, "Alan, El Corvio, it's Alan! Hello, Alan." And he says, "It was a duel sanctioned by the Court of Honor, that is all. The late Sir El Est questioned my loyalty to the Emperor and called me an apostate. He left me no other choice but to defend my honor, and now he's dead. Please be quick with your verdict, Sir Judge. I am expected at the capital. You do know who I am, don't you?" "I can't say that I do." Before you can say a single word, a carriage bearing the crest of Magistrate El Vermin rolls through the gate. Of course he's gonna butt in. The magistrate furrows his silver brow as he looks at the sorrowful scene, then gestures politely for El Corvio to approach his carriage. With a chuckle, the duelist walks through the line of gendarmes and leans on the carriage. Meanwhile, the magistrate takes you aside for a moment. And he says, "Brante, as you know, I am the chairman of the city's Court of Honor. I refused to sanction his duel for as long as I could, since true death was on the line. But Alan El Corvio insisted that denying him would spell trouble for the city of Anisot. Regrettably, he's a small yet important person in the Emperor's court. He used to command the Emperor's personal guard. I realize that you must mete out justice as your duty demands, but remember, duels of honor are one of the cornerstones of imperial tradition, one of the pillars that support the twins' divine vision for the Empire. You have the authority to punish El Corvio, but be careful. He might make a dangerous enemy, both for yourself and for all the nobles of Anisot. That fool Elest didn't know this, and now he's lying there before us. We would be advised not to repeat his mistake. The magistrate of Anisot glances around, then continues in a hushed tone. Brante, the situation is far from ordinary. If the fate of your city means anything to you, it would be best to let El Corvio go without a trial. Anisot doesn't need any trouble from the capital, and the Elests are not as strong as they used to be. They'll get through it. You may fine him if you wish. El Corvio will pay you to move on, and justice will be done, at least to some extent. However, if you can defuse the matter entirely, you'll earn favor with all the aristocracy of Anisot, and I'll personally see that you get a swift promotion. Deep in thought, you gaze upon the body of the dead duelist and the long shadow of El Corvio. The decision you're about to make could influence all future duels in province, as well as your own standing. Oh, absolutely. Capital punishment. That's all that matters. That had something to do with Octavia. Oh, no. No. Isn't that part of this? No, it isn't. It isn't part of that, but... yeah, I did not have the right conditions. Damn it. Okay, that's out. Can't do that. So it's gonna have to be this. Since apparently I can still do this. Just a fine, that's not gonna work. Your elite patronage allows you to have the murderer prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Yep, there we go. That has to be it. Damn it. Okay, well that's very sad. You shake your head dispassionately. Enunciating every word with perfect precision, you explain the situation to El Vermin. A murder in a duel is still a murder, and the punishment for murder is execution. You do not have the right to distort the law. The magistrate's face falls in surprise. He says, Brante, you don't seem to realize how the world works. I just told you El Corvio plays an important role in the Emperor's court. Are you really so eager to make enemies? Well, you're about to. No connections will protect you if you're so intent upon trampling ancient noble traditions. It seems El Vermin is not aware that you have friends in very high places, you tell him in return. The Archduke's family will readily side with you. The magistrate dashes to El Corvio, fuming with rage at your words. Sir El Corvio, this is a terrible misunderstanding. I'll do everything I can to right this wrong, but these good sirs mean to have you arrested. You give the gendarmes a firm order. Seize the murderer's sword, shackle him, and take him to the prefecture. And Alan goes, you dare call me a murderer? Doesn't anyone in your filthy, decrepit province know the meaning of a duel? El Corvio draws his sword and assumes a defensive stance, startling the gendarmes with such a fervent refusal to comply. You start giving commands to the gendarmes. Following your orders, they manage to surround and disarm El Corvio. You head for the prefecture to take care of the paperwork and send a message to Octavia. You ask your powerful benefactress to convince the aristocracy to side with you in ordering the death penalty for El Corvio. He is a complete outsider in Magra, you write, who happened to murder the heir to the ancient bloodline of Elest. Surely Octavia can aid her humble servant in such a trifling matter. Her reply takes almost no time to arrive, where she writes, El Corvio is a staunch follower of the Tempest and the new overseer. This puts him at great odds with my father. Removing him will be easy, especially if you have a proper case against him. Rest assured, Chris, the Melanidas dynasty will side with you in this trial. As for the other nobles, have no fear. I will let no harm come to you, my dearest human. I mean, she has literally said, I want nothing more to do with you, but she's seemingly still sort of on my side, which is lovely. El Corvio's trial comes and goes incredibly quickly. The seats in the courtroom are absolutely empty. No noble risks appearing in defense of the visitor from Eterna and attracting the displeasure of Archduke Melanidas. One by one, you present evidence of El Corvio's guilt. The ill-fated noble visitor coldly spits out threats in return. The Board of Justice, presided over by Elborn, makes its final judgment. And Augustine goes, sending a noble to the hereafter is never easy, but there are times when the court has no other way to instill respect for imperial law among those of the noble estate. Sir El Corvio, we hereby sentence you to true death by decapitation. The sentence will be carried out in Majesty Square tomorrow. El Corvio is silent. unwilling to believe in what just happened. But the verdict has been made. Corvio is taken to the dungeon and the shackles still on his wrists. Tomorrow, the city of Anisot will, for the first time, witness a noble being executed for a duel. That'll have an effect on me, but that will surely have an effect on the province as well. I dare say so, yes. The aristocracy of Anisot is indignant over your decision. They fear what might come next. And yet, El Corvio's shameful end on the executioner's block goes seemingly unnoticed in the capital. Soon, rumors begin to spread. Some say the beheaded nobleman was indeed a traitor to the crown. Why else would the Emperor's court ignore the beheading entirely? Or was it all the handiwork of Archduke Melanides himself? Soon after the execution, something arrives on your doorstep. A small yet hefty chest with a note attached. Interesting. Sir Brante, we realize how difficult it must have been for you to deliver this strict yet righteous verdict. We mourn the loss of our son, who transgressed against the law forbidding all duels. Yet justice has found his murderer thanks to you. Please accept this humble gift as a token of our gratitude from Constance Celeste and Lady Margaret Elest. Interesting. And yes, indeed, my career plummeting, but justice goes up, which is exactly what I wanted from all of this. And wealth goes up for the Brante family, which is also lovely. No effect on the province so far. Possibly, maybe. Friend of the people has been met. Lovely. This event is a consequence of your previous actions. So maybe I can get even more justice from this, because I didn't make a deal with Elf Vermin. That's lovely. So we're going to have a bit of a thing here. Friend of the people. Another day of work at the prefecture is winding down. After hours of paperwork, your fingers are cramped, your vision blurred. Today you must finish incorporating the new decrees of the Great Imperial Council into the Magran Code of Law. The document will then be sent to the Overseer. A knock at the door distracts you. Your visitor is someone you were not expecting to see. Mayor Egmont enters your office. It's that guy again. He's the wealthiest man in Magra, the owner of the silver mines, and the leader of the wealthy Communist Party in the Lesser Quorum. He wears a high-priced frock coat made of light grey fabric. He wears no jewelry, but his coat is richly embroidered, the most luxury a commoner could ever afford. Egmont offers you a broad, sun-tanned hand. It is hard, work-weary, and eternally calloused. This is a man who has earned his fortune with the sweat of his brow. Haley says, "Good afternoon, Judge Brante. We met recently about that newspaper business, but today I need to discuss a different matter with you. I came to talk to you on behalf of the manufacturers of Magra. As you know, the principal source of income in this province is the silver mines. Our mines provide silver for the sacramental rites conducted in temples all over the empire. But the upper vein of ore is nearly exhausted. We need to process new deposits that are lower down. That's where our trouble with the law comes into play. Oh no. In order to get the deeper layers of ore, we need gunpowder. But a decree from the Great Imperial Council has forbidden common people from using it. Back in the capital, they're afraid we'll turn that gunpowder into a weapon. But this restriction will harm not only the manufacturers and the miners, but the province as a whole. The silver trade will decline. We won't have enough money to buy grain, and soon even the nobility will be impoverished. I know that you, the judges of the prefecture, are the ones who interpreted the decrees from the capital, so I implore you, Sir Brante, to come to the aid of the honest tradesmen of Magra. Pass an amendment allowing the use of gunpowder in the silver mines. You give Egmont a speculative glance and ask him why he has asked you specifically for help. And he says, I've been following your decisions for quite some time, Your Honor. They give me hope. I don't agree with you on everything, but we seem eye to eye on the essentials. The common estate needs to get real rights. It's the only way for our province and for the empire as a whole. Sure, Prefect Alborn has proclaimed as much himself, but unfortunately he's a nobleman of the sword, first and foremost. He's bound by the blood tide, by the power of the Overseer and the Archnians, so all his undertakings are doomed to failure. If you, Sir Brante, truly care for the people, you need some powerful allies among the lowborn. Allies like me. Do this for me and together we'll change the fate of Magra. Egmont extends his hand, hope in his eyes. You take your time before answering, weighing his words carefully. And obviously we're agreeing, that's not even a question. Of course we're doing that. I realized that allowing gunpowder to be used could mean problem for the province if it, like he mentioned, is being used to make weapons. So I know that that could be a real possibility here, but I'm working on my justice and I need, as he just said, friends in the commoners. So the most powerful one, the most rich one, surely a good fit. You take his hand. Egmont gives you a strong handshake. You tell him that you share his apprehension and understand that silver is crucial to the province. You promise to amend the law so that the restrictions do not apply to silver mines. To which he says, "Thank you, Chris Brante. Nobles who care about the needs of the common folk are few and far between. This is what nobility really means. I share your belief that only a union of the estates will lead the empire to order and prosperity. You can count on my support. Silver is the life of the Magra. Today, you not only saved us all from ruin, you've also made every Magran a little bit richer, yourself included. I'll make sure the Brante's gonna share the profits." Ooh. And I promise you, Brante, this gunpowder will shatter those ancient rock formations and reveal their hidden treasure to us all. What if that doesn't happen? What if actually they start blowing things up and there isn't any silver? That could also be a possibility, I suppose. So I've made a deal with Mayor Egmont. And that puts us a bit in his disposition. The wealth of Margaret climbs up considerably thanks to me. Oh, look at that. Justice +2. That is what I want to see. Oh, I'm actually only 1 point away from being able to do the thing. Oh, that's very good. And also, we are getting more money for the family. So deal with Egmont. It could backfire in many ways. But short term, it's looking good. And let's think short term right now, because bloody hell, I have a true death to avoid. Alright then. Here. Oh, a lot more things. Okay. My career is below 2 now. Or equal to 2 and below. Chutes and ladders. Oh, what's gonna happen now then? News of your latest action spreads rapidly across Anisot. You have made many enemies during your years as a judge, and now is their chance to strike. Your career is hanging by a thread. You have to fight off accusations, denouncement, and slander just to retain your position. A quiet knock at the door interrupts your musing. The imposing figure of Judge Carlo Fock-Graben slowly flows into your office. Yeah, what do you think about me? I mean, you've been very much on the nobles side, and I have been very much not on the nobles side. So what do you think of me currently, really? So he says, "We hardly ever see each other these days, Brante. I have decided to pay you a visit, with the most cordial of intentions, of course. I've been hearing everywhere that things are not going well for you. So I ask myself the question, how could a man of your talents quarrel with almost all of Anisot high society? I'm sure you are simply misguided. But worry not, I will show you the way. Many judges see you as a threat. They think that your daring rulings are putting the entire prefecture in danger. Let's examine your latest case, for instance. Its outcome erased all the nobility of the city. But I know you aren't what they say you are. The others need to see how much you care for your colleagues and our institution. Take my advice, Chris. Don't forget that it is a judge's job to maintain law and order among the states, not destroy it. Admit your error and reconsider at least some of your past decisions in favor of the nobility. Do this, and I assure you, society will come to see you as a respectable nobleman and a wise judge once again. Do not emulate our prefect. You know that I hold Velborn in the highest esteem, but between you and me, he's on the edge of a precipice, and he's dragging you down with him. Promise me you'll think about what I've said, Brante. I'm only concerned about your well-being. I care about the career of a promising judge like you." Fock-Graben takes a bow and leaves as silently as he came. You reread your latest cases lost in thought. This is what has turned high society against you. Your enemy's schemes are preventing you from continuing your work. You need to find a way out of this situation. So sadly, I can't do this one because I haven't gotten Patronage of the Powerful. How the hell was I supposed to get that one then? Maybe if I... okay. I suspect that had I not been romantic with Octavia, I could have gotten her as a patron. sort of a, you know, what's the word? I forgot the word. When you're not actually in love, but you're like friends instead. Obviously, we're continuing the fight. I can ask Father for help. And no decisions, absolutely not. No, I'm actually just, I'm not going to even talk to my father. I'm just going to continue to fight. You refuse to give in, you will continue to fight for justice and the rights of the common people. That's what I'm doing. I don't care. I do not care. As soon as Fuckrabbit vanishes behind the door, you put the old cases away in a drawer and get back to work. New lawsuits, litigations, and pleas demand your attention. Your choice was made long ago. You will not give in or compromise with your conscience. Justice must be upheld. If you don't do it, who will? The consequences are not long in coming. An onslaught of complaints and denunciations comes from crashing down upon you. Notable nobleman demand that Elborn throw you out of the prefecture in disgrace. The prefect comes to your defense, but he will not be able to sustain the pressure for long. The other judges simply avoid you like the plague. Upon meeting you in the hallway, Carl Fuckrabbit just shakes his head solemnly and keeps walking. I mean, I like him. I like him. He's basically like me in some ways, but just on the nobleman's side. He's not like obnoxious about it or anything, so I'm kind of sad of actually going against him, but I have to stay true here. You are forced to fight to keep your position. Work feels like a battlefield now, and with each passing day your enemies close in on you. Soon they will attack and you will have to make your last stand. Yes indeed, can't really afford to go -1 now on my career, but if I can just get one more, bloody justice, that would be very good. And another valor up, which I don't need. I need diplomacy and other stuff, not bloody. I've got 3 valor points. Okay, so now it's Thomas as well. He has not been rescued apparently. I need. Oh, this is gonna be a tough one as well, I think. Because I don't... Okay, we'll see how this one turns out. The hunt for Thomas. You are shaving before going to work. You scoop some warm water from the wash basin. The morning light reflected in the mirror is blinding. A servant rushes in with an urgent letter, or rather, a crumbled note. It says it is from a childhood friend of yours. You flinch involuntarily, a nasty cut appears on your cheek. That's a lot of blood for just a cut from shaving, but sure. And it is from Thomas, who writes, Chris, I'm in trouble. Otto knows that I helped you. Now he's finally decided to get rid of me. His henchmen are on my trail already. They'll find me no matter how well I hide. I'm out of time. Brante, if you can, for the sake of our old friendship, help me out of this mess somehow. If Otto finds me, I'll be off to the Shining Pillar. I'm all out of lives. Your friend Thomas. You crush the note in your hands. A drop of blood runs down your cheek. Your old friend is in danger because he helped you with the case against Auden. If you don't interfere, Thomas Garrow is doomed. Alright, well. I'm getting involved. You bribe prefecture gendarmes to capture and kill the enemies. Or I protect them. I mean, if I protect Thomas, surely that is not detrimental to my justice meter, right? I cannot see how that could be negative for that. I actually feel it can only be positive for my justice meter to protect someone from Auden, right? Feel like that's the right choice to do. I might regret this. I feel like I might die again. Alright, you failed to break Thomas from Auden's revenge last time, and you will not fail him again. You crumple up the note, pick up your sword, and rush to help your friend. You know where Thomas has been trying to hide recently, the ruined palace of Carmelitas, where you used to play as children. You get there just in time. You hear a familiar voice coming from the ruins of an ancient bathhouse. That's Thomas. Quit hiding, you bastards. You won't take me without spilling some blood of your own. You follow the cry. In the middle of the old bathhouse, you see Thomas. Dirty, his hair overgrown, a sword clutched in his hand. 5 men, inconspicuously dressed in coarse clothing and wielding various weapons, are slowly closing in on him. They all freeze, stunned by your unexpected appearance. "What took you so long, Brante?" says Thomas. You hear intense joy in his voice. You rush to Thomas's side. Back to back, you start to fight. You are more skilled than Otto's henchmen, but they outnumber you. You do not let them surround you, but the fight is still a tough one. You succeed in wounding one of the enemies in the leg and force him to drop out of the battle, but another huge bruiser is swinging a club wildly and all you can do is dodge. You are quickly becoming exhausted. Thomas keeps pace with you. He performs a masterful counterattack against one of the enemies and skewers him with his sword. Unfortunately, his weapon becomes stuck in the enemy's body. He will not be able to dodge the other assailant. With a swift turn, you put yourself in the line of fire and catch the blade with your glove. You steer the tip away from Thomas, then run your sword through the thug's stomach with a quick thrust. But your triumph is short-lived. You momentarily lose track of the big fellow, and he lands a heavy blow on your back. Your ribs crack. You are thrown several feet away. The thug swings the bloody club again, but Thomas hurries to help you. "Die, you bastard," he goes. Everything turns red. You lie motionless and listen as the fight continues, until several shrieks of agony announce that it is over. Thomas leans over you, an incongruous smile flickers across his face. "Hey, Brante, I just asked you to help, not to die in my place." Your old friend's stupid joke is the last thing you hear. Thomas' face and the rest of the world dissolves in a white light. And bloody hell, I've died again. Oh no, this is bad for a different reason now. I am on my last life. Alright, okay. You are surrounded by an immense grey void. There is nothing but shadows around you, the spectres of your decisions, the spawn of your personal will. You see before you all your victories and defeats, all your errors and hopes. Another shadow comes to life by your side. As you gaze at these elusive, moving silhouettes, you recognize your last action. This is the death you chose to face, knowing what fate was to befall you. This is the decision you made. The shadows keep spinning and dancing around you, the footprints of every step you have taken since the day you were born. A colossal figure looms over them all, your future true death. You can no longer deny its imminence. It has always been there, waiting for you. Now you're only one step away from it, but you will take this step yourself. The familiar gigantic figures of the twin gods appear from the void to meet you. They effortlessly lift your tiny soul and hold it in their hands. You've always been in the twin god's hands, their will created you. The elder did not grant you his love, he forced it into you. The younger shaped you according to his law without giving you a choice. An enormous whirlwind arises in the void. The twin gods release you into it, and a torrent of an unfathomable will whisks you away. You are merely a minuscule particle of this universal tide. This will is the sole determiner of all events, past, present, and future. Your puny actions and choices are nothing in the face of the force this torrent abhors. You whirl in the cosmic vortex of the twin god's will until it casts you out. You careen back down to your earthly life. It is only now that you regain your ability to act. You see all the wills of the universe intertwined in a perpetual struggle against one another. Which will you follow? The will of the elder, the will of the god who brings love, or the younger who imposes law? Earthly power, you buy the worldly manifestation of the law and the will of the authorities. Bloody tide, you obey the will of your ancestors and your family legacy. Or history has a will of its own. You must assume the position that was assigned to you by this will, or my own will. The only will you are willing to live by is your own. Again, don't know what the previous choices actually has done for me. But I'm wondering... I feel like that is not how I should interpret it, which is to say that that is what I should go for, because I think that I'm opposing this law. The worldly manifestations of the law and the will of the authorities. I mean, that sounds good, right? I mean, I am the authority after all, and I am the law in some ways. I'm gonna go for this one. Again, I don't know if this actually does anything, but I will. You fall into an endless web formed by the wills of the mortal world. Now that you're free of the cosmic vortex, you can finally exert your own will and make a choice. It feels like a first grasp of air after being suffocated by an alien will, the will of the gods. But for your chosen will to be incarnated here in this world, one decision is not enough. You will have to follow this path to its conclusion, to turn this will into reality by way of your decisions, deeds, and actions. Your eyes snap open and you sit up abruptly. The crypt is spinning around you. The stagnant stench chokes you. You got out, you succeeded in preserving yourself against the whirlwind that was tearing you asunder. The will of the twin gods have commanded you to continue your existence. You feel the urge to fall flat on your back and cackle madly. You are back. So now, not only do I have to consider my career, or rather my occupation and justice, I have to make sure that choices that I make won't land me in another death. Oh. Tricksy, tricksy, tricksy. You awaken in the crypt. No one is there to meet you. It is quite possible that no one knows about your death. The place smells of damp earth. The battle in the abandoned palace of Coromanidas is the talk of the city for several days. Your name somehow comes up. Commander Otten does not openly accuse you. If he did, he would have to explain what his men were doing there. But his schemes make it much more difficult for your brother Stefan to have the Brante family ennobled by the sword. Well, I don't care about that. Thomas fled right after the fight. It takes quite some time for you to get any news from him, but when we do, he says, Chris, as soon as we fought off those thugs, I decided to go into hiding somewhere far away from Anisot. Without his spies, Otto seems to have lost my trail, and it's all thanks to you. I'm in your eternal debt, Brante. Well, it's also good because he's now alive, and he has been rescued. So presumably, is it possible to rescue him before this? That's interesting. I hope you take down that bastard and put an end to his crimes once and for all. We'll meet again, your friend Thomas. Because yes, indeed, now he's actually alive and he can sort of be a part of the trial against Otten. Possibly, maybe. Reputation goes down. Not good. Valor. Come on, I do not need more valor. I've been at 20 for 4+ valor points. I do not need more. Please, game, for the love of God. Alright then. Let's see if I can get the last point here of justice. I would really love to do it, because I think that it sort of works that way. If I just get it up to 8, that's it. This is gonna happen. I'm pretty sure that that's how it works. El Pharaoh's list. You spend day after day hard at work toiling over Otten's case. But something far more urgent demands the prefecture's attention today. The city is in chaos. There was an explosion in the square in front of the city hall. Alright then. There's the gunpowder. Someone threw a bomb at Magistrate Remiel Verman's carriage. The assassination attempt failed. The magistrate was not inside the carriage at the time. He was unharmed, although his servants and driver did not fare so well. Even in your office, you can still smell the acrid smoke from the blast. The gendarmes reacted quickly. 5 suspects, craftsmen and factory workers, were brought to the prefecture before sunset. They are accused of joining the Last Straw, a secret society of insurgents seeking to overthrow imperial rule. The society is on its way to becoming the talk of the city. Rumor has it their leader is an enigmatic woman, a tough criminal by the name of Sophia, who we very much know about, yes. The 5 suspects deny their involvement, but a number of eyewitnesses saw them walking toward the square, and some of them still have traces of gunpowder on their fingers. Judge Carlo Fockraben has taken the case. The trial will be mercilessly swift. The 5 are to be hanged tomorrow morning. The sun begins to set. You're about to leave for home when you hear heavy footsteps in the hallway. A stranger enters your office. He is pale, with chiseled features, a furrowed brow, a thick black mustache, and dark eyes watching you intently from deep within their sockets. He presents you with a gilded pendant in the shape of a wheel. And it's Felipe El Ferro. Baron Felipe El Ferro, Secret Chancellery Advisor. I imagine you're well aware that we deal with plots, schemes, and revolts against the Empire. I have a matter of great importance to the Empire to discuss with you, Sir Brante. I'm aware that the case of the explosion in the square was not assigned to you, but for our purposes, this is actually for the best. The Secret Chancellery has been following this so-called Last Straw group for a long time now. They are the greatest threat to peace in Anisot. But you can help us rid the city of this menace. Baron El Ferro produces a neatly folded sheet of paper. This is a list this is a list of known insurgents connected to the last straw. They haven't blown anyone up just yet, but surely you realize that it would be most imprudent to wait for them to commit their next crime. The time to act is now. You scan the list quickly. Some of the names on it seem somewhat familiar, perhaps from your youth. And Philippe continues, find a way, anyway, to implicate them in today's assassination attempt, and you will prevent more explosions in the future. The Empire will rest easy if we can rid ourselves of this scum as quickly as possible. If you render this service to the Secret Chancellery, you may rely on my assistance in the future. As you may suspect, I have more than my fair share of powerful connections. Silence falls. The Secret Chancellery advisor pierces you with heavy gaze. You refuse advisor of Pharaoh and protect the people on the list. They are innocent until proven guilty. Absolutely, that's what we're doing. I could, however, conduct my own investigation. Before doing anything to the people of Pharaoh's list, you must find proof of their guilt first. You know what? I do have the wealth and I do have the scheming. Feels like this is... I could have sheltered with the glorious secret. Apparently I've failed that destiny. I'm not going to obey them, obviously. Yeah, you know what? Let's conduct an investigation. I do have the wealth. I'm not really trying, I think, to go for the family. It's going to be... Can it be any of these now, by the way? Because we are not going to be ennobled by the sword. That's not going to happen. Reputation, no, that's not going to happen. I don't think any of this is going to happen. We have the unity. We have quite a lot of unity with no reputation. So, this one, a family of means. I don't think I care enough about that, to be quite honest. So, I'm going to do my own little investigation. And see where that leads us. You rise from your chair, ready to answer the advisor. You cannot fulfill his order until you have legal grounds for arresting and executing these people. You serve the law, and you will never break it, no matter what you might stand to gain. You will not falsify a case, and you will not hang people on unproven charges. You are willing to investigate the people from the advisor's list thoroughly and punish the guilty, but only if you find proof that they are involved in the insurgency. Baron Pharaoh winces in displeasure at these words and says, Brante, can't you see we're not dealing with ordinary outlaws here? We're fighting an insurgency that has declared war on the Empire. There is no time for the usual formalities. You have to understand that, thanks to your indecisiveness, those insurgents will roam free and fashion new bombs for more attacks. I mean, you say that, but you don't know. But you insist you will not send anyone to the gallows without evidence. Either you do things your way, or the aristocracy will soon be talking about the abuse of power at the hands of the Secret Chancellery. You will see to that. For a while, Philippe considers your words. Very well, Brante, have it your way. Begin your investigation. But if another bomb goes off in Anisat in the meantime, it will be on your head. And then a promising servant of the Empire will stand trial, along with the insurgents as their accomplice. I have a handful of good friends as well, Sir Judge. Philippe leaves without saying goodbye. And so you begin a lengthy investigation. This was your idea, which means you have to pay the gendarmes and informers out of your own pockets, which is fine. The gendarmes in your employ tail every man and woman from the list for the next fortnight. For a long while, none of your suspects does anything suspicious. Over the course of these 2 weeks, you come to bitterly regret getting involved in this business, but Philippe left you no choice. You will either find the truth or get tried along with the insurgents. Baron Pharaoh did not look like the man who makes empty threats. Disappointed with this fruitless surveillance, you are about to call it off when one of the commoners suddenly signals to the others to meet. The raid catches them by surprise in an abandoned house at the edge of the city. Much to your chagrin, the Secret Chancellery was right. You arrest them just as they are plotting another attack. A map of the city hall on the table. A stockpile of weapons and bombs are found in the house. The litigation is quick. You have all the evidence you need against the insurgents. Every one of them is sentenced to death by hanging. Another last straw cell is no more. Their bodies now dangle in the wind by the still rotting rebels who try to kill the magistrate. Oh, this is not going to go well. Power moves to old nobility, and... Oh, no, justice went... Oh, I got both of them. Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. Now, does that mean... wealth goes down, scheming goes up. I don't care about any of that. What about the debacle in the shop? Oh, this is something completely different. A debacle in... Is that how you pronounce it? Debacle. I think it is. A debacle in the shop. Alright, we'll continue. Your tenure as a judge has yielded considerable results. More and more often, common people come to the prefecture to assert their rights, and succeed in doing so. Some local villagers have even started coming to seek the court's protection. All over the province, there is talk that a new era has come, that the law is in fact the same for all. It very much is. This morning, on your way to the prefecture, you anticipate a peaceful day full of paperwork. But as soon as you enter your office, Elborn rushes in after you. And he says, "Don't sit down, Brante. You've been assigned an urgent investigation. This morning a tradeswoman, old Mrs. Steiner, came to the prefecture with her 2 grandchildren. She demands that we punish Sir Elverger for setting fire to her shop and trying to rob her." Well, the Steiners had just finished writing up the complaint when Elverger himself came bursting in. He immediately sued the Steiners for his own murder. Wait, what? I've come to warn you, Brante. Even though the Steiners were acting in self-defense, you still have to find in favor of Elverger. Alright. You're surprised to hear this from Elborn. Seeing your perplexed look, the prefect frowns. I'll explain. Before, low-born shopkeepers like the Steiners wouldn't have dreamed of suing a nobleman. Everything was always decided in favor of the nobility, as you may recall, but now the law has more power. Our efforts have not been in vain. However, now we're talking about the murder of a nobleman by commoners. I'm afraid these changes have been too drastic. The governing elite of the province are watching our every step. Justifying the murder of a nobleman would be going too far. The overseer and the magistrate might well decide that it's time to take back the common people's rights. We can't let that happen, Chris. Court is in session. You are presiding over the Board of Justice. One bench is occupied by the somber Maximilian Elverger. His papers state that he's a nobleman of the sword, living off his estate. He strokes the pommel of his sword nervously and breathes heavily, ready to explode in a fit of rage. On the other bench you see the Steiners, the low-born owners of a well-known jewelry store. Anne Steiner, a short, wizened woman wrapped in several layers of dark silk, looks defiantly at Elverger. Her 2 grandchildren stand silently behind her, their faces impassive. And Captain Leonard is here again. My squad noticed the fire at the Steiners' shop. We stormed in and saw those Steiners standing over the dead body of Sir Elverger and watching it crumble to dust. The old woman shouted that he had to go to the prefecture, so we brought her and her grandchildren here, and Sir Elverger suffered a lesser death before our very eyes. And Gustav Elverger is... So who's Maximilian? This is the person who actually died, who is also known for his dissolute lifestyle. Miscreants, those low-born scum killed me. You sternly call the nobleman to order. The commoners will speak first. And Anne Steiner says, Sir Elverger showed up our shop at dawn and started banging on the door. We opened, despite him being completely drunk, scarcely able to stand on his feet. He demanded to see our pearls. Well, what could I do? I showed them to him, and then he started sweeping our pearls right into his own pockets. I tell him, those pearls are not free, sir. But he draws his sword. I'm a nobleman, he says. Everything should be free for me. Such is your lot, he yells. Your lot is to work for me. Well, I explained that the pearls cost 20 coins, so he takes a lit lamp and smashes it on the floor, and then he charges at me with his sword. My grandchildren come to my rescue. They went and pushed him. They used no weapon naturally. Sir Elverger hit his temple against the showcase and fell. We came to see how he was, but he was already dying. We didn't kill him, his own anger did. So I didn't come here to confess to murder, but to ask you, Your Honor, to protect our family against this bloodsucker. We had a hard time putting the fire in the shop out after what that rascal did. Meanwhile, Gustav goes, You ungrateful old hag. You should have been delighted I was taking your pearls. All of high society would have seen them. You are a blasphemer too, not knowing your lot. The lowborn must not contradict us nobles. It's forbidden. I know my lot. I'm supposed to command. So I'm in my right when I take what I want from the rabble. And His Honor, the judge, will agree with me. Your Honor, I appeal to you. One nobleman to another. It's simply an outrage for the rabble to behave like this. Those little shopkeepers took my first life from me. Me, the heir to the Elverger legacy. I demand that these diners be hanged at once, or burned at the stake, since they follow the heresy of Fotis. Only the heretics deny their lot. There is commotion in the courtroom. Those who came to support the Steiners are infuriated by the nobleman's words. Elverger's noble friends frantically demand that the lowborn be silenced. You call the court to order, but to no avail. The room will not calm down until you deliver your verdict. You rob your temple. If you manage to acquit the old lady, it will set a precedent for the entire empire. The lowborn have never had the right to defend themselves with force against one another, let alone the nobles. You have the increased influence of the prefecture on your side. You could even try to legalize the right of the common people of Margaret to defend their lives. But such a daring move will not succeed without the support of powerful people. And you remember Elborn's warning. What would the consequences be of your decision for the common folk of Anisot? Should you acquit the Steiners, can you? I can't go with the right to self-defense because I would have had to have the patronage. I can acquit them, since I do have the eloquence, but not the diplomacy. Okay. I mean, if I do this, I probably will lose a bit of justice, but I am high up on justice now. It feels a little bit more safe in some ways. You know what? Elborn is on my side here. Elborn is on my side, and he has been very good to me, and he probably has a fairly good idea of the bigger picture here. So I'm gonna follow his what's the word I'm looking for? Well, what he said, basically. It pains me, but I will. Curtly and unemotionally, you deliver your verdict. The very same verdict the majority of people in the courtroom were expecting. Elverger's demand will be satisfied. The Steiners committed the murder of a nobleman. Their guilt is undeniable. Whether Elverger attacked them or not is of no consequence. A commoner may not raise his hand against a nobleman. The three of them will be hanged this very day. And Anne goes, we've never expected anything good from the upper class before, so why start now? I've heard plenty of talk about your justice, but nothing's really changed. Shame on you, judge. The trial is over. The old woman and her grandchildren are taken away to be prepared for execution. Elverger lifts his hat politely and leaves. On your way out, you meet Elborn. The prefect follows you with a look of understanding. Yeah, wow, oh, screw you, game. Screw you, game. You spend the rest of the day pacing your office mindlessly. This trying day is finally at an end. Bloody -2. Well, diplomacy goes up at least, so that's good. And a bit of willpower. Screw you, game. Screw you so much. Well, I still have 2 years to get to justice, so I hopefully am fine. The year is 1144. The Archduke relents. Oh. After many years, the simmering, unceasing hostilities between Overseer Gaius Tempest and Archduke Melanides have finally come to an end. The Archduke has abandoned all attempts to collect additional taxes from the people. And he has decreed, by my grace, I hereby release the common people of Margraf from the Archduke's tax. All hail the dynasty of Melanides, which has protected you since time immemorial. The farmers and merchants can finally heave a sigh of relief. Unexpectedly, the Archduke soon withdrew from all provincial affairs, sequestering himself in his ancestral castle of Serpenwerda. The gentry who remain loyal to the Archduke are baffled. Has he accepted defeat at the hands of the Overseer, or is this just an elaborate ruse? Either way, with the Archduke out of the picture, the senior gentry of Margraf have lost some of their influence to the Overseer and his retinue of budding dynasties and nobles of the mantle. The feud between the two Arcanian rulers has ended, but the noble estate has been split nonetheless. The common people see this as yet another reason to demand change. Wealth goes up again, people have more power. A bit of a change towards commoners, which is good. That is sort of what I want to see too. And 7th year of service. Another year of service as a judge is behind you, but you have no time to celebrate. Your days are filled with unremarkable litigation and similar looking complaints. Again and again you see poorly written complaint forms. They claim that noble landowners are extorting money, punishing commoners for nothing, doing whatever they please. You have noticed a change in tone, from pleading to desperate to quietly furious. The lowborn lot is to suffer, but how much longer can they endure? Every day, once the petty litigation has been dealt with, you return to Autumn's case. Again and again, for 2 years now, you search for a way to do the unthinkable, to have an Arcanine, and a High Commander at that, convicted for his crimes. You have not heard from Autumn since your encounter at the City Hall, but he likely has spies among the judges and gendarmes. Sooner or later, he will realize the true state of your progress and find a way to get rid of the case. And you, unless you're prepared to strike the first blow. What should you do? Will you speak against Autumn in public and summon him to trial? Is there any other way to deal with the High Commander? Either way, now is not the time, so you wait and prepare. So indeed, as I sort of vaguely think that this is going to work, there is 2 more years, so 1144 and 1145, after which something is going to happen. I am still on track for this. Sally lost a bit of justice here, but 2 justice should not be impossible. Should not be impossible. But, the big thing is 3 deaths. Is the game gonna throw me into a situation where I get the 4th death before the end of the chapter? Because I think that it might be actually, in some ways, this is sort of why I have been dying so much, because you might actually go to this. But on the other hand, accepting true death might be a thing related to, well, any of these, I suppose. So, alright then. We have possibly 2 more years and possibly more after that, if I can play the game right, so to speak. We shall see about that in the next episode. For now though, this has been ghostmutgaming with me, Christopher. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.